Hi, friend. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Listen, if this is your first time here, then welcome. I give lighthearted reviews of some of my favorite TV shows and movies. So if this is something that interests you, consider sticking around. I do have more coming to my channel, and I'm so glad you're here. Listen, I need to apologize from the start for the way that I sound. I was on vacation last week, and I came back with a little something. So I have been fighting it all week, and it does sound worse than how I feel. So, anyway, just bear with me and we'll get through it. Listen, this is The Gilded Age, Season 3, Episode 7. This one is entitled Excommunicated. Just when you think that they can't get any better, it's like they just raise the bar just week by week by week. I don't even know what to say other than let's just go ahead and get into it. Okay, now the episode starts off with these books that are being distributed all throughout New York City, and people are grabbing them up just as fast as they can be unboxed, right? Now, this book is by Mr. McAllister. He has written a book about society. It is called Society as I Have Found It, right? And so all of the ladies are upset about this book because, honey, it contains all of the salacious gossip, all of the tea, all of the news that's going on about these ladies in society. And Mrs. Astor, Miss Fish, Bertha, and the sisters are having a meeting about it because they just can't believe that McAllister has done this. And so Mrs. Astor's like, listen, here's what we're going to do going forward. Mr. McAllister is no longer invited. He is excommunicated from society, and he is not going to be invited to my end of the season ball. Now, we all know that she does have an end of the season ball every year in Newport. She is not going to invite Mr. McAllister. She's very upset about this. Of course, the news about her daughter's divorce is in there. Mrs. Fish says that there's something in there about her husband ordering cheap wine, and somebody asks Bertha, was she in there? And so, although he's written the stories, he doesn't place like a name with the actual story. But if you're reading it, you know that who it's about. You know it's about you if you're reading about you because you know all about it. So anyway, those were the marching orders before Mrs. Astor leaves the house because, like I said, the sisters were hosting them. She says, "Oh, Ada, thank you so much for hosting us for this meeting," and that just kind of tickled Ada. She was like, "Oh my God, did you hear that? Mrs. Astor said thank you." Like it was very like teenagery, very high school, very the popular girl said hi to me. And so Agnes is just like, Ada, please try to calm down. Like we got a crisis on our hands right now. And so I thought that that was cute. Now, back back with George and Bertha, we see that George is at the house, but he only came there to get some paperwork. You guys remember from last episode when she went to England to try to help Gladys out with her problems. He said when she got back, he probably wasn't going to be there. Well, he's only there to pick up some papers. And she's like, well, I want to talk to you about what's going on with McAllister's book. And he's like, listen, I don't have time to be listening and talking to you about some book, okay? I am trying to save this family from financial ruin. Like, I don't have time for it. So he kind of shuns her away a little bit. But you can tell that there is definitely some trouble in paradise with these two. So we'll see, but Bertha is just not looking good. And I don't understand how you would think that he would be okay with you going over to England for only what 2-3 days. You went over there, you probably had a day of travel and a day back of travel. So that's 2 days right there. So you're probably there for maybe a day and a half or so. And you think that Gladys is fine. Like you did give her some good advice, but it's gonna take more than that. And just the fact that you came back and said, well, I went over there and she's fine. Like, no, it's going to take more than that. But just the gall of her, I just don't see it for Bertha at all. All right, so speaking of Gladys, let's go over to England and talk about Gladys and the Duke and Lady Sarah. Now, Lady Sarah is talking to the Duke, and she's saying that they received a telegram from George that says that the payment for Gladys may be late. And not only that, that it might be indefinitely late because, he's having money problems. So Lady Sarah's like, look, if he can't pay, she got to go back to New York. I mean, it's just as simple as that. Like, she is not going to stay here if he's not going to pay the money. And so the Duke is like, listen, I'm not worried about that right now. I mean, the money really doesn't matter to me. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so he's getting pretty smitten on Gladys, it sounds like. And so, anyway, him and Gladys are in like a little garden and they're walking, and, he's telling her the same thing about the telegram that they received from her father. And she's just like, wow, that's kind of strange, you know. And so later on, we see that Lady Sarah and also the lady's maid is still picking out Gladys's clothes. And she's like, I prefer the blue one. She's like, well, this is the one that Lady Sarah picked out. This is the dress. And so she's like, well, we'll see about that. So she is kind of fighting back. She does have her little spirit of where she's fighting for what she wants to wear. She sees that the Duke has picked her some flowers, and she's just like, oh, you picked these and put them in a vase. And he's like, yes, I had them put in a vase. She kind of smells them, and she's kind of talking to the Duke and kind of telling the Duke, listen, you are somebody, okay? When I go on my tours and I'm talking to the people out there, they don't want to hear from Lady Sarah. They want to hear about you. So I'm like, okay, are you doing this because of what your mother said? Because you remember when Bertha was there, she was telling her, listen, you got to make the Duke fall in love with you. You got to schmooze him. You got to make him feel like he's an important man, make him fall in love, put that, do your thing, girl. And so it just seems like she's doing it, and it seems like it works. As a matter of fact, they sit down and they talk to Lady Sarah because Bertha has invited them for the end of season ball. So they're thinking about going back to the States for the ball. And so they're like, listen, I mean, wouldn't you rather go to London? Wouldn't you rather just get a spot out there? I mean, we're going to be gone, and, it doesn't make any sense for the staff to just be here all alone and you just to be there. And she's like, well, what is this? Like, you want me out of here pretty much? And so they're pretty much telling her, yeah, you should go ahead and go to London and try to find a place. And I think that the Duke is finally getting the kahunas that he needs to stand up for his sister, and it's all being driven by the things that Gladys is saying to him that's giving him that confidence. Like, you are somebody. They do want to see you. Like, stand up on your own 2 feet. And you never know. I mean, maybe Gladys and the Duke, there might be something to it all. I mean, I still don't agree with the way that it all went down and how it happened. And the Duke does still give me creepy vibes, but he seems to be nice to Gladys and seems to want the best for Gladys. He hasn't shown me anything different yet. So, I can ride with him for a little bit. We'll see, though. All right, now back at the Russells, we see the staff downstairs. We got Church, we got Mrs. Bruce, we got the chef, and we got Andre, and they are convinced that Andre is in fact the leak of the house. So they got to try to set her up. So Church comes up with the story talking about there's going to be some job openings for temporary basis while the Duke and Gladys are here. And he's like, listen, if this story gets out, then we'll know that it's Andre because she's the only one that could tell it. So they start following her. They're following her all around town. Then they actually lose her. They think they lose her, but Church actually finds her and catches her at the park where she's talking to some guy, and then she gets an envelope handed to her, which of course has the money in it. So they bring her up and they're like, listen, we know it's you. We saw you at the park. What say you? And she's like, yep, it is me. I do love the mistress. I love all of y'all, but money is money and business is business. And so they're just like, wow, you did all that for $40. She's like, yeah, never mind. Just, I'll pack my stuff and I'll go. And so Church is like, no need to pack, honey. You are done. Your stuff's already packed. You're out of here. So that is the end of Andre. We knew it was her from the start. So, Andre, you did it for $40, girl. Why? Mm-mm-mm. All right, now let's talk about Oscar. My heart really, really does go out to Oscar. Now, you guys remember last episode, John Adams had an unfortunate accident. He is no longer with us, and that was Oscar's heart. They were in love with each other, but of course, back then, they were not allowed to express that kind of thing out in public. So, anyway, he is no longer here. Agnes asked John, hey, did you see the obituary? It's in the paper. And he's like, no, I'll read it later. He goes, I have a meeting. So he goes to the meeting and he meets up with John's sister. Now, John's sister knows all of the tea. She knows everything that's going on. She's aware of it all. And she's like, hey, no judgment. Listen, here's a picture of you that he had, and here's a picture of him. I thought you might want to have it. Also, I want to let you know that he has also given you a summer house. Now, he couldn't put it in a will, of course, for obvious reasons, but he did tell me about it, so I'd like to give it to you. And it's paid all the way up, all the cost of it for 5 years is paid up. So he really did care for Oscar. He's given him this. He also wrote him a letter, which I thought was kind of strange. Most times people write letters when they know that they're sick and they may not be here, but just to have a letter written just in case. I mean, I don't think people usually do that. I may be wrong, but he did have a letter for him. And so Oscar's like, listen, I can't take this. This is way too much. And, the sister's like, listen, enjoy it. Take it and enjoy it. This is what John would have wanted. So anyway, he comes back to the house and he is just defeated. He's so sad. And again, the sisters and Marion are there and they're like, well, what's going on? And he just goes off. He just, all of his feelings and his emotions just come out. And he was like, listen, I should have been at the front of that church instead of sitting in the back like just a common person. And Agnes is like, what is going on with you, what is happening? So they're all trying to calm him down. And I think that Oscar was just about to spill his tea and just about to tell it all, but he didn't, because Marion and Ada kind of was like, especially Marion, she was like, listen, he's just upset, he needs to go up to his room, come on, let's go. And I think at that moment, Agnes realized what was going on. I mean, the way her face was so loud, how she just kind of just sat there in silence, but you could tell, oh, okay, I get it. Because her mother knows, I don't know if Ada really figured it all out, but later on, Marion does go up to talk to him, and she even figured it out. And she was like, listen, I don't know all about it, but just please let me know how I can help you. And I thought it was a great scene between the two cousins, that she's there and like, hey, no matter what, I'm not judging you, I just want you to be okay. And he's just hurting and he's grieving. And it's really sad when you're hurting and you're grieving and you really can't express it, because you're not supposed to express it in a way that you want to express it, because it would raise too many questions. So he just kind of has to just, settle all those feelings and emotions down, okay, for the sake of just not causing a scene and making people just start asking more and more questions. So, shout out to Marion for that. I thought it was a good scene that they had together. But Agnes does know. I don't know if she'll say anything, but I have a feeling that she does know about it. We'll see what happens. Mr. McAllister, sir, I just need to know why you didn't feel like you were going to have any repercussions from this salacious book that you have created, sir. But anyway, he doesn't feel like he does. So he goes up to this event and he gives his name and he expects to be let in. And the guy is like, listen, honey, your name is not on the list at all, period. You need to get up on out of here. Your name will never be on another list, right? Ever. So he leaves there and he goes over to Mrs. Astor's home, because he feels like, yeah, we got to talk this thing out. So in the meantime, Miss Astor is talking to her daughter, and she's like, look, I know that your husband is suing you for this divorce, but let me tell you something. This divorce cannot go through. Now, do what you got to do, but this divorce is going to ruin us all. Please talk to your husband. This has to stop now. Now, she also talks to Bertha, and she's telling Bertha, I can't have this ball. There's too much stuff going on between this book coming out and my daughter. I mean, in this divorce, it's just a lot. And so Bertha's just, trying to convince her, nah, you need to go ahead and have the ball, because if you don't, that means that McAllister wins, right? And so they continue to talk. Their talk's over. She gets in her carriage and she's about to leave to go back home. And we see Mr. McAllister coming up to Bertha's carriage. So he tries to say something to her, and she just pulls off. And I'm like, wow, okay. So nobody has it for Mr. McAllister. Mr. McAllister goes up and tries to get in the door. He's met by Mrs. Astor's uh, doorman, Hefty. And he's like, look, Hefty, me and you, we go way back, man. I just need to get in here and talk to Miss Astor. Hefty is not here for it. He's like, listen, she's not even here. He's like, man, don't give me that. I just saw Bertha coming out of there. So he barges past Hefty, and then he has this conversation with Miss Astor. Now, I'm thinking that he's going to be like, Mrs. Astor, I apologize. Let's let bygones be bygones. Please forgive me, blah, blah, blah. He didn't say any of that. He's like, listen, I am society. I wrote this book because I made society. I created the whole thing, right? If it wasn't for me, it wouldn't be no society. And so he's like, even you, when I met you, you were nothing but a rich lady with a husband who would rather be on a boat with showgirls than be home with you. And honey, why did he say that? And I'm like, well, McAllister, if this is your way of getting in good, Miss Astor, honey, you're going about it the wrong way. And so Astor ends up kicking him out and telling him, don't you ever come back here. Now, later on, he does go over and he does talk to Bertha, and he's like, and she tells him, listen, Mrs. Astor wants to cancel the ball, but she wants me to have it instead. And so he's like, yeah, you should. It's your turn. And so she tells him, well, if I do have it, I'm going to invite the divorced people because I feel like, they shouldn't be exiled. They should be able to come, right? And so McAllister's like, would you invite me? And she's like, absolutely not. Like I don't have the power to do that. I don't have the power to invite you. And there's nothing worse than somebody thinking they got the power when they really don't. So it seems as though Mr. McAllister's days are done, done, done. See you later, Mr. McAllister. It doesn't look like you're getting back in there. And I do like Mr. McAllister. I loved him on the show. I thought he was good. I hope that, something happens and he can get back in there. But with the attitude that he has about this is all mine, I created this, I can burn it all down. I mean, that's not the way to go by it, Mr. McAllister. So we'll see what happens with you, but I wish you all the best, sir. All right, it seems like there's another suffrage meeting happening this episode, but it seems like the person that they were going to have sponsor it has backed out. And so Ada has decided to step up and she said she will sponsor it and she will have it at the house. So that's what's going to happen there. Now, I think it's great that Ada's getting into society. She's starting to host meetings. We still haven't heard anything about the booze pledge. I guess that's gone away. But anyway, good for her for getting out there and for hosting more and more stuff at the house. Now, we see Marion, she's there, she's talking to Peggy, and Peggy's just like, look, have you talked to Larry yet? I mean, you're going to have to talk to him. It's kind of inevitable because the guy lives right next door. And I think it'd be a good idea for you guys to talk. And she's like, yeah, I don't think so. It's probably just best to just leave well enough alone. So anyway, Larry does end up coming back. And as soon as he gets back, Church gives him the letter that Marion wrote. He reads the letter. He runs across the street to see her, but he can't get in. Ada comes to the door and she's like, listen, she just had a change of heart. Please try to give her some time. But poor Larry, he's trying to explain. He's heartbroken. Ada tries to give the ring back to him and he just won't take it. Now, he does end up going back across the street and he's talking to George about Morenci. He tells him about the copper mines and tells him that it's like tens of millions of dollars there and that he ended up closing the deal. So it seems like their financial mess is over for now. Now, Bertha comes in and, you know, George is telling her about everything and what Larry did in Morenci. And so they're like, well, great, let's celebrate. And so Larry's like, I'm not in the mood to celebrate because Marion called off the engagement. And then Bertha has the nerve to say, well, if she called it off without talking to you, then maybe she wasn't the one in the first place. And I'm like, see, Bertha, this is the reason why you're all alone right now. You need to stay out of it. So anyway, Larry just jumps on her like, it was probably your fault anyway. What did you do? You probably talked to her. And she's like, I did no such thing. And he's like, listen, I can't even be here. I'm going to the club as well. So now we got both men at the club and we got Gladys over in England and she's there by herself. And it's like, look at you. Now you're alone. This is how you wanted it. You did all of this. And now, look, I don't feel sorry for Bertha. Not one bit. She deserves every bit of it. Now, back at the sister's house, we see Ada. She's talking to Marion again and again, begs her, please go talk to Larry. Like, and Marion is just like, listen, every man that I've ever loved, they've all turned their back on me. Maybe I should just be a spinster. And why does she say that? I mean, that really hit Ada hard. And she was like, listen, you don't want to be a spinster. You have no idea what that's like, right? Like, it's a lonely and it's a hurtful life. You're seeing people being in love and being together and you don't have anybody. She's like, and I had that for a short amount of time and I'm glad that I was able to do that. But you don't want to be a spinster. I encourage you, please go talk to Larry about this. Now, Larry ends up showing up at the school because she won't see him anywhere else. And she tells him the reason why you were at a house of ill repute. That's the reason why I don't want to be with you. And so he's like, well, I did kind of didn't tell you the truth about Delmonico's. We didn't go to Delmonico's, but I promise you nothing happened. And so she's like, listen, enough is enough. I don't want to talk about this anymore. School's in. You got to go. So that didn't go anywhere. But when she helps Jack look for a new home, I was so glad to see Jack, by the way. I'm so glad that he's in this episode. And I hope that they don't write him out. But anyway, Marion is there with Jack and she's helping Jack find a new place. And Jack is like, listen, what's going on with you and Larry? And in a minute, I thought, well, wait a minute, what's going on now? Are you trying to throw your hat in the ring here, sir? But he goes ahead and he tells her, listen, I know it's none of my business and I shouldn't have, I should have told you the truth about where we was, but listen, we had one drink, he was there with his friends, and then we left and came back to 61st Street together. Nothing happened. So I'm like, well, maybe this is what she really needed to hear in order for her to come to her senses to at least talk to Larry, right? Because Larry was like, I didn't want to tell you that I really wasn't at Delmonico's because I was afraid that you were going to look at me different and think different of me. And so he was being honest, but yeah, he didn't tell her from the start, but he said the reason why is because of how she would react, which is this is the reason why. So although Marion does have a point, he did lie. I think that she at least needs to just hear him out and see if they could try to work things out. I mean, it's not the worst thing that's happened. All right, so we got Peggy and the good doctor. They're having a picnic and they're just talking to each other and just saying how much they care about each other. And then he asks her to come along with him to the ball that they're having in Newport. Now, I don't think that this is the same ball that Mrs. Astor holds because I don't think that they run in the same circles as far as in society, but maybe the blacks in Newport have their own end of summer ball, is what I'm assuming. But anyway, Peggy's like, yeah, I usually go with my cousin, but I don't think she'd mind. Yeah, I would love to go with you. So it's official. They're going to go to the ball together. Now, they do have the suffrage meeting at Ada's house, and we see that it's a big success. They're giving Ada her flowers. Thank you, girl, for hosting it. And Ada is just a smile, and she's so happy. I'm really glad to see Ada getting out there and having a good time. Now, we also see that Peggy's friends are kind of teasing her, like, hey, now, I see you with the doctor. Don't tell me wedding bells are coming up. And then Marion said something. I don't know what she said. But anyway, it was something, well, her heart is broken now because of what's going on with Larry. So we can't really pay her no mind right now until she gets her stuff together. Now, back in Newport, we see that Lady Elizabeth is talking to her friend Ernestine, who is spilling all of Peggy's tea, telling Elizabeth all about Peggy and how she used to be married and she had a baby that she gave up for adoption. The baby ended up passing away. I mean, all of her business. And so Elizabeth is just like, what? And so she's like, well, I got to get to New York right away because I got to tell my son about this. And that's what she does. She gets to New York. She's telling Dr. Kirkland all of what Ernestine has told her about Peggy, and he's still not convinced. He's like, listen, she's a fine, smart, beautiful woman, and I'm going to talk to her first, Mom, before I make any decisions. Like, you need to just let me do this. And so that's what he does. He goes over to the house, he talks to Bannister, and Bannister is going to have her come down. So that's where we ended off with them. I really wish that Peggy would have just told him from the start about this whole thing, and now he's got to hear it from his mom, and who knows what all Ernestine said extra, and it's just putting a whole bad light on Peggy. And I hope that they can work this through because I really do like them together, and I want to see them married, but. I don't know. Elizabeth, it's going to be a hard road now, especially now that Elizabeth knows all this about Peggy. All right, George seems to be back on top of his game now, right? He's talking to Wrigley, he's talking to Clay, and he's telling him, listen, I don't need y'all anymore. Those I got the mines in Morenci. Clay's like, yeah, those mines there's no good. There's no value in that. And he's like, oh, but you're wrong because I had my son go out there and hire another land surveyor, and there's plenty of money out there to be made. And so because of that, I've already sealed up the deal with the Merricks. Me and JP Morgan, we're back on good terms and you guys are out of here. I no longer need to do business with y'all. Enough is enough. Y'all are done. And so Sage is just like, man, talking to Clay, man, I should have never gotten involved with you. You're out of here. So he fires him right on the spot and he walks out. So now we got Clay and George. So George is just like, man, Clay, you were my homeboy. Like, what made you think that you could go against me? Now, you like, we're enemies? Like, what is that all about? And so he's like, man, listen, maybe you can just go and become one of the workers out in Pittsburgh that you tried to get me to shoot back in the day. But as far as you being in this railroad industry, your days are numbered. Like, you're out of here. And so Clay's like, listen, I am like a cockroach. I have 1,000 lives, so don't count me out yet. So we don't know what Clay has up his sleeves, but he is like, listen, it ain't over till the fat lady sings. Now, you guys are not going to make me feel bad for Bertha. I refuse to do it. But she went in there to try to talk to George and Larry about her little stuff going on, about how she's hosting the ball and about how uh Gladys and the Duke are coming home for it and all this, that, and the third, and they are ignoring her. They're like, yeah, okay, whatever. We don't need to hear anything about that. And I did for a split second. I kind of felt bad for Bertha, but hey, this is what you did. You caused all of this, and so now here we are. Now we see that George is getting ready to leave work for the day and he's about to go back to the club. And as soon as he's leaving, somebody says that they have a package for him. And so next thing we know, some other guy walks in with a gun and just starts blasting. So he shoots the one guy, the guy that said that he had the package. He shoots him, and then he's looking, and then he points the gun at George, and we just hear a pop. Now we don't know if he got hurt. We don't know if he's still with us. We don't know anything. That's just how the episode went off. So once again, way to do it, Gilded Age. They just up the bar every episode. I just cannot wait. Next week is the season finale. You guys, let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I am a little sick today, but I hope that you guys found this one entertaining. And so y'all let me know what y'all thought in the comments about everything. Do you think that George and Bertha will ever reconcile? I mean, even with this tragedy that's coming up, we don't know. I'm assuming that George is hurt, but y'all let me know if this might bring them closer together. Also, let me know about what y'all think about Peggy and the good doctor. Do you think that the good doctor is going to be like, hey, listen, the past is the past. I wish you would have told me, but hey, let's move forward? Or is his mother going to be so much of an influence that she tells him, you're not going to marry this woman and I don't want you nowhere around her? So I'll be looking for you guys' comments. You guys let me know about it, and I will see you the next time we do it. Until then, bye, y'all.